Many people get told that they're lazy or that there's something wrong with them. And I was definitely one of those people. But the truth is, you're not lazy. You're just addicted to dopamine. Every time you scroll or grab a quick snack, you are training your brain to crave instant pleasure, which then causes you to dread real, meaningful work. Because real work doesn't give you that instant hit of dopamine, in fact, it is the complete opposite, and that's why your brain just defaults towards the cheap and easy dopamine. And if you guys don't take control of it now, it will control you for the rest of your life and keep you trapped in an inescapable loop. So, why does this happen? Why is it so easy to scroll for hours but so hard to read one page of a book? This all comes down to how dopamine works, and how the modern world has completely hijacked it. You see, dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's actually about motivation. It's the root cause to motivate you to take action and chase certain things. Thousands of years ago, we got dopamine from hunting, building, and creating. But today, we get it from our phones. Instead of spending hours hunting and cooking food, we spend 5 minutes clicking a button and waiting for the food to arrive at our doorstep. That is a really big problem, and yes, you may seem lazy by doing that, but you're not. And honestly, I don't blame you. Society has made it extremely difficult for us to actually be successful. And I can ramble on about this for hours about society and all that, but I think I'll save that for another video. Anyways, back to dopamine. The problem is that this new kind of dopamine is so instant that our brains just can't even comprehend it. And when your brain gets used to getting pleasure that easily, everything else like studying, working out, or building something starts to feel 10 times more difficult than it already is. Because your brain is essentially wired a completely different way. It's not that you don't want to study or you don't want to work out, it's just that your brain simply doesn't find it rewarding anymore. I mean, think about it. Why would your brain choose to do something that gives you zero dopamine for hours when you can get thousands of hits from just scrolling for a few minutes? And that's exactly how the trap works. You tell yourself you'll scroll for 5 minutes and then you'll start studying, and then suddenly it's 2 a.m. and your energy is just depleted. But the good news is you can train and rewire your brain to get back on track. So here's how you fix it. Now, before I get into how to actually fix this dopamine problem, you need to first understand these two concepts: instant gratification and delayed gratification. I'm sure you guys have heard these terms a lot, but I'll just run through them quickly. Instant gratification is basically cheap dopamine, like scrolling and snacking. Delayed gratification is the complete opposite. It's the habits that take a lot of effort now, but pay off later on, like the gym or building a business or studying. So now let's take action. Grab out a piece of paper and split it into two halves. On the left side, write down all of your instant gratification habits. So maybe that's scrolling, sleeping in, eating McDonald's, whatever it is, just write it all down on the left hand side. On the right side, write down your delayed gratification habits. Maybe you go to the gym, maybe you read, just write them all down. Even if you're not consistent with the delayed gratification habits, you can even include ones that you want to do but you haven't yet started. So just write all that down on the right hand side. Once you're finished, take a look at the page. If the left side is completely full, you've got some work to do, and you've just exposed exactly why you feel lazy and unmotivated, because your brain is just naturally wired to the cheap dopamine. But don't feel bad or even beat yourself up over it. This is your starting point. And if you're still watching this video up until this point, I don't know how many minutes we're at, probably 3 or 4 minutes, you're not completely cooked. Like, you're savable. It at least show, and if you keep watching the video all the way through, it will at least show that your attention span is not cooked and you actually have the chance to change. Now, you guys might be thinking that the goal is to just completely erase everything on the left side overnight, but that isn't the goal. The goal is to slowly shift your energy towards the right side. So how do you actually do this though? How do you slowly reset? It would make sense to just completely go monk mode and just delete everything. That's just not how it works. Think of it like training a dog. I'm sure you guys have heard of Pavlov and his dogs. Essentially, he would ring a bell every time he fed his dogs, and after doing that for a while, the dogs started salivating just from hearing the bell alone, even if no food came. So now imagine you've got those dogs and you want to retrain those dogs to learn a new skill, or to unlearn one skill and to learn a new one. So instead of them responding to a bell, you want them to respond to a car horn instead. You wouldn't just do that once and expect it to stick. You would have to slowly make them unlearn the bell habit while slowly introducing the horn habit. And that's exactly how your brain works with dopamine. You can't just delete everything and expect to wake up motivated the next day and completely a new person. You need to slowly rewire your brain to crave the right type of dopamine again. So here's exactly what you need to do. Alright, so the first thing that you need to do is start including time to do your good habits. So, set aside 10 minutes a day to read, to meditate, to work out. You need to be doing these good habits as much as you can, but you don't need to spend hours on them, right? You just need to get used to doing them. So, meditating, all you got to do is just close your eyes and start breathing. That just removes the made up friction or the made up, oh, it's hard in your mind, because it's really not. Picking up a book and just reading is not hard at all. Working out, maybe it's a little difficult, but honestly, you can just drop on the floor, do a few push-ups and just get on with your day. You need to show your brain that these habits aren't actually that difficult, and then you also get the benefit of the delayed reward later on. Like after you read a few pages of a book, when you finish reading, when you close the book, you will feel really fulfilled and really proud of yourself that you read a few pages of a book. Same thing if you just meditate for 5 minutes just randomly, or doing random push-ups. That is the first thing you should be doing, especially if you're a beginner. Now once you've done that for a while, you want to slowly add friction to your bad habits. So let's say you drink alcohol a lot. If you have beer in the fridge, just take it out of the fridge and put it somewhere else. Somewhere where you can't default to it, right? If you check your phone a lot at night, try to put it in another room. Or turn your notifications off even. You need to slowly add friction. Obviously you can't, I would suggest deleting TikTok and all that. You probably can't do that just yet. But what you can do is add the screen time limit. So when you're scrolling, if you can add 15-minute time limit, and then it will pop up whilst you're mid scrolling. It'll take you out of that loop, and you have to you can ignore, you can tap this add more time and then just carry on scrolling. But that just adds friction, right? You just want to add all these subtle types of friction that just make the easy dopamine just a little bit harder. So first you've identified that the good habits are not that hard after all, and now you're just making those bad habits a little bit harder to actually indulge in them. And it's a very, very slow process. It is going to take you, I would say, months and months and months to fully rewire your brain. So you need to not get unmotivated. You need to be patient, and you need to be forward thinking. So after adding friction and all that, my next piece of advice that I want to share with you guys is to be consistent. Like I just mentioned before, this is a very long process, so you want to make sure you're staying consistent. You want to make sure you're reading every single day. You want to make sure you're working out every single day. Some days are going to be difficult. I say this in every single video. Some days, we're human, some days are going to be horrible. We might be sick, or we might get some terrible news. We might be depressed one day. Whatever it is, I'm not asking you guys to do it for 2 hours a day. I'm not asking you guys to have a 2-hour workout every single day. Just every day do some push-ups, every day read a page in a book, and every day do a little bit of work. Obviously, if you have more time and you're feeling good, don't just read one page and call it a day and half-ass it. You will know when you only have those 1-page days, and you will know when you can have those 10-page days. So always be consistent and adapt your volume every single day, and after a few months you'll feel like a completely different person. And then you'll get to a point where after scrolling, let's say you scroll for 2 hours, a few months later after doing all these things, you will feel absolutely horrible. You will feel I don't know how to explain the feeling, but you'll be really pissed off. You'll be so pissed that you just wasted 2 hours. You'll be so mad at yourself. You might even get depressed and a little down. If that happens, don't be upset. Just know that you're in the right place, because after you experience that negative feeling towards wasting your time or whatever, you've made it. You've rewired your brain. So give yourself a pat on the back, and you can now delete your apps, delete Uber Eats, delete Instagram, because you've done it. And that just adds even more friction, which makes the bad habits even harder. And because you actually desire the good habits and you feel so pissed off when you do the bad habits, you've just flipped the whole switch. Your brain no longer craves the bad habits, because now they're hard. You have to re-download Instagram now if you want to scroll, and you have to feel a bunch of pain, 10 times more intense pain than what you did afterwards. So your brain is now craving the good habits, and that is insane, and that means you've made it. It's a very long process. I would say it took me 6 months to get to that point where I would scroll for an hour, and then I'd be pissed, and I'd delete it, and then I'd go back to my very good habits, and I'd be on a roll, and then I'd relapse again and start scrolling, and then I'd be pissed. That's a 6 months process. So be patient and be consistent, and you can successfully rewire your brain before it's too late. And if you're still watching up to this point, I don't even think you need to rewire your brain. You're an absolute legend. Thank you guys for sticking through the entire video. Trust me, you will make it. It'll all work out. Drop a comment down below what your journey looks like. Like, what kind of habits do you want to stop and what kind of habits do you want to start? I'm very curious in finding out, as I can, later on I can make highly specific videos to your guys' needs. But yeah, that's it for this video. I post videos like these every single week in hopes to change people's lives. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.